Now I know what that ding is. Hello, everyone. The ding is recording. We are recording. That's what I heard Friday. And I was like, what is that? I'm still getting used to Telegram. So, those of you who this is your first time meeting me, I am Dr. Tammy. Hello, welcome to this amazing boot camp. And I'm going to just share my thoughts on one aspect of the future of work. And Friday, we talked about how to position yourself and strategies for thinking about how you want to navigate Web3. And so now I want to go into a little more specifics and some of the reasoning, the rationale behind what's happening and this current shift. One of the pillars, I'll mention all four of them. You'll be learning from other people. But as I mentioned on Friday, the last session we had together, I am more into digital transformation, future of work, and looking at how to position yourself and how to actually apply what you learn here. So, what I'm going to talk about are the things to help you start thinking about one, the significance of your journey in this boot camp, because it is really a good time to be in a Web3 boot camp and to learn as much as you can and think about how does it look in 2026. Even if you have been in this space for a while, for years, this is a good time to kind of do a reset and rethink how you want to position yourself. So I want to talk about what this looked like in the workplace. So a little disclaimer: workplace could be your place of business where you work for someone else. It could be you who having a business and working for yourself and not working for anyone else. It could be how whatever institution or organization you're involved in that also governs itself as a group and have multiple people on a team. So when I say workplace, I am talking about where you are making money, so to speak. However, it can be anywhere there's a team that's working and that's working on a solution, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a for-profit business, whether it is you working for someone else and using your skills at someone else's company. It all applies. So if it helps, you can think about workplace as being a team that's working on a project, and some of those projects are small, one, and some are many layers and have multiple teams working in the same organization, which creates a business, right? So I just want to say that just in case I forget to make mention of that later. This is who I am. This is how you can connect with me. I'm Dr. Tammy Francis everywhere, and I am on LinkedIn. You can definitely follow me and connect with me there, so we can stay connected. Or if there's anything cool that I can learn from, please share it with me, and feel free to send it to me. So I want to start by talking about the Industrial Revolutions. A lot of people are talking about the fourth. I'm going to move into the fifth. And so we're going to walk through this, and I'm just going to do a little historical background, and then we'll talk about what does this look like today. So we'll bring this up to today. Okay. So stay with me. If you have questions, write them down, jot them down, or you may have to come off mute so that way I can hear that you have a question, because my screens are set up where I can't really see the Telegram screen. Okay. So let's go through them. So this is one of many charts. Did I say that? One of many that you will see how this progression goes. Sometimes the years are slightly different on different graphics that you will see. But this is kind of the general progression. And so we'll just use this as a point of reference as we're talking about what's happening today. So in industry 1.0s, that was where mechanization, water, and steam powers. That was during that time when we started seeing trains and things like that that were powered by steam. Then you have 2.0. Well, that's where we get mass production, electric power, assembly lines. That's when you'll see companies like, I know here in the US, Ford Motor Company, they are known for that assembly line production of vehicles and doing some of those things. And so you'll see, so that happened in the early 1900s and throughout the 1900s. You'll notice that the industrial periods were wider apart than they are today. And then in 2000, probably a little before 2000, I would actually say the 1980s. And that's why I said this chart may not be exact. And I don't think there's ever a chart that's exact, but I think more like in the 1980s started ushering in 3.0, because that's when you see computers. That's when you see automated productions. That's when you see electronics. And I remember us as young children having electronics and Walkmans and things that you can, portable devices, not like they look today, but how they looked in the industry 3.0 after the onset of computers. So I will say that 3.0 probably really started around the 1980s or so, late 1980s, early 1990s. But we'll put it at around 2000 is when it was kind of fully in and people recognized it. And then 4.0 around 2010, that's when you get the Internet of Things, you get networking, you get machine learning, you get some of the things that we have with the internet and those things that are what we have, cyberspace and the Facebooks of the world and MySpace. Those things started emerging, those opportunities to have for networking more online using the internet. Of course, you have machine learning. So if you, as far as industry, you started having things do things. Well, probably started in 3.0, but now we're really moving into having machines complete tasks and do some things. And so I think 5.0 really entered the building because of the pandemic. And so that's why I believe this chart has 2020, because you got to think that's when we started talking about human robots, and having these collaborations, these things. You'd have robots doing surgery in operating rooms and doing different tasks. They may not look like the robot on your screen, I will say, but they can do some of the same things that humans do, and they kind of work in tandem. I know I had surgery in 2023, and there was a robot that helped perform that surgery. There was a medical doctor there, but there was also a robot that did some of the stitching and the things that were required as part of that surgery. But there was a human involved. Cognitive systems, customization. So 5.0 is about robotics. And some of the things that we put inside ourselves. This idea of bionic augmentation, right? And they call it the Internet of Bodies. And so, like I was just talking about my surgery, that sort of thing happens now. And most of the time, it's powered by purpose. Yes, profit comes with it because my surgery did cost a lot, but there was a purpose for it. Like there was a reason why that was happening, that was medically necessary. And so those are some of the things that you'll see, some progressions and how things have kind of evolved over the last 200 plus years, right? So that's kind of where we are. And you'll notice that with each industrial revolution, automation increases. The way we can automate things change. The way we complete tasks with machines and robots and electronics, all those things change. It evolves and improves. And so that's when we think about the workplace and making a digital transformation, there are ways to prepare for it. There are ways to prepare for the changes. You've seen this chart before. I can't say this enough, but you'll notice that the Industrial Revolution, those periods align with some of the things that have happened in the web space, webs 1, 2, and 3, where web 1 was websites, right? That was the age of static websites and that were retrieved from servers, those sorts of things. It was about access, and of course, that's what ushered in Web 2.0, Web 2.0, and that's what encouraged that. It's also what the current version of the internet that we see. This interactive social connectivity is user generated, and it's typically used by people around the world, right? Because we all kind of have slowly getting access. Some have infrastructure issues, so therefore Wi-Fi and electricity may be an issue. But as far as it having the ability, if all the infrastructure is working, having access to it is there, right? This is where we read, write, communication, sharing videos. This is where all the video sharing, live streaming, YouTube kind of explosion. The Musical.ly that is now called TikTok, but it was originally called Musical.ly back in the early 2000s, I guess around 2009, 2010, and all the way to 2020. I think it changed to TikTok, or TikTok bought it. It changed around 2020, right after the pandemic. But it's been around, right? And that idea of making videos. And now we're in this thing of creation and ownership. And that's where we are. And this is also the time where things are now being decentralized. We're talking about this human connectivity. We have NFTs. We have all these things that are now taking this era that we in right now to the next level. This is where we have artificial intelligence. We have digital currency. All of that includes machine learning, computers, robots, all those things that are part of Industry 5.0. Now we're really focused on making sure we keep the human in the loop to make sure some of the things are not going crazy, but that's where we are. The interconnection via the internet, computing devices embedded in everyday objects are happening right now. If you have a thermostat in your home, there's embedded sensors in there. Your cars have embedded sensors. That's why the light pops on when something goes on, or sometimes the tires stay aired up until for so many miles before they go flat. Like, we have all these things that 2.0 has really ushered in. And now 3.0, we're like, okay, we're bumping that up. Even some of your refrigerators, your lights. I remember back in the 90s, we had those lights that you can clap on and clap off, and the lights would go off. You didn't even have to touch it. That was kind of the precursor. So that 3.0, 4.0 era really has ushered in Web 3.0. So just connecting the dots. Like, I will say that Web 1.0, that was probably around the late 80s, early 90s. And then, you can kind of see how now we're in 2026, we're talking about Web 3. And some people are already talking about Web 4 and 5. So it's moving. So let's talk about what a digital transformation looks like in this shift. Both the industries moving to more automation and Web3 moving toward Web3 than more automation. So a digital transformation is this integration of digital technology into all areas of business. And like I said, when I'm talking about business, it can be where you work, the business you own, or an organization. But these are long-term effects. And now it's time to think about how are you incorporating robotics, machine learning, NFTs, digital currency, AI, all those things, those layers of Web3, fundamentally changing how you operate and deliver value to customers. So whether those are your customers or the customers you're serving within your organization, even as an educator, is changing how I am educating students and what I'm considering a part of my curriculum. And those are my customers, or students. And so everyone's customers, you may have to rename that to fit to your life, but we're all serving someone. So who are you serving? Because it's going to change how you interact with them. It's going to change how you operate the systems within your organization. This cultural change requires organizations to continually challenge the status quo, experiment, and to get comfortable with failure. So when we're talking about a digital transformation, we're talking about adding more digital tools into the work you do, the task you complete, the way you service others. So the goal of a digital transformation, of course, I think I just said it, is creating value by continuously deploying tech at scale to improve customer service, lower cost, increase efficiency, and greater business agility. So when we're talking about digital transformation, it's necessary to stay vital. So whatever you're doing, as you're thinking about, okay, I'm in this Web3 boot camp, there's all these things going on. We're now moving to more use of machine learning, robots, digital currency. We are now incorporating more tasks that are powered by digital technology into what I do. What does this look like for me? What should my focus be in this boot camp? So here are some ways that you can prepare. So while you're in this boot camp, these are some pockets, if you would let me use that word, of ideas or parts of what you should be considering for a digital transformation. You're probably going to have lots of courses and conversations around the technology. So the technological transformation, you're going to talk about that a lot. I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm not doing, this is not a tech presentation today. Sorry. Communication will probably be hit on in everything. It's also going to be hit on today, but that's not going to be my focus. Talent and cultural are more of my focus today. I'm really going to talk about the cultural piece today, and then a little bit of talent at the end, and what this looked like for you as a person that are gaining these skills and this knowledge. Because hopefully what I'm telling you about the cultural transformation, you will apply it to what this looked like to you as a talent, right? How do you apply all these tech skills you're learning while you're part of this boot camp? So because we are in Industry 5.0, because of the pandemic, because of the things that have happened recently in technology, we're now experiencing a workplace transformation. The pandemic ushered it in. For example, before the pandemic, I teach college classes, and my classes were 100% face-to-face. Because of the pandemic, in 1 week, almost 10 days, really 10 days. We were on spring break, luckily. So we got that week of spring break that we were on when the world shut down, and we got a little bit of the following week. So I'll give you 10 days, 10 working days plus the weekend. So maybe about 14. But we got 10 days to make a shift from 100% face-to-face classes to 100% online classes. So immediately we had to turn content that was meant for face-to-face, lectures that were meant for face-to-face, into a digital format. Now, if that's not workplace transformation, that's like workplace shock transformation, because it happened so quickly. Since the pandemic, we've been able to kind of pull back and slow down and figure this out. Businesses that had, where you had to go into the bank, you had to do things in person, they had to quickly shift during 2020 to moving some things online, to making those same customer service tools available online. But then after the pandemic, we all decided, okay, how do we do this more effectively? How do we do this correctly? And because of that, now we are rethinking flexible spaces to accommodate different kinds of work, the workers, the technology. Now there's even a hybrid workplace experience that you can, depending on your job that you apply for or the jobs that you're hiring for, you can decide what that looks like. Before the pandemic, they had started, but it wasn't as widely adopted as it was forced to be adopted during 2020. So workplace transformation is also about creating an opportunity for moving to new, more dynamic models of working and business performance. So now we're thinking about, how do we create opportunity for improvement to make things better, for attracting employees back to the office. So during the pandemic, that was the thing. People started working from home and they realized, oh, this is not bad. I actually like this. I know I was one as an educator. I was like, oh, I like this balance of having a little bit of time at home. I've found I was more productive. I didn't have people stopping by my office wanting to talk when I was trying to get things done. I could literally get things done. And then other people were unproductive. They were eating and watching TV and not doing their work at all. So there had to be some balance created when we talk about workplace transformation during a time when we're moving into this Web3 space. We're moving into where everything is digital. So we had to think about, how do we fuel innovation and creativity and foster connections to strengthen workplace culture? Essentially, an organizational culture improvement initiative had to happen. Requiring the understanding and participation and continuous quality improvement at every level of the organization. Some of you probably have experienced that. Some of you experienced it and probably just went with it. And some of you understood what was happening around tech, around Web3, around Industry 5.0. You may have made those connections, but if you didn't, I hope now that you're starting to see what has really ushered in. I know we blame it all on the pandemic because the pandemic accelerated all of this, but all of this was happening way back in the 1900s, right? It was happening, but it was a little slower happening. But come 2000, it just sped up. And then 2020, it's just, you must stay current in order to keep up. And so rethinking of spaces to meet the evolving work styles and technology for the new hybrid workplace. That's workplace transformation, which brought in these many different work models, right? We have in-person, we have flexible, we have hybrid, we have remote. And we started out there. So I have a question for you. Do you have a preference? Do you know your preference? Do you know if you prefer to work in person? Are you flexible and you can do a little of both depending on what the job calls for? Would you like to do a hybrid where maybe 2 days in the office, 2 days at home? Or do you want fully remote where you never go into an office except maybe for a annual meeting or annual evaluation? Do you know which one that you enjoy? If you do, if you have option to put it in the chat, put that in the chat for me. I had to switch screens so I can see it. So there are different types of hybrid work models. And so I know I like hybrid, so there's different types. Of course, you have hybrid, you have flexible hybrid, you have fixed hybrid, and that's kind of the one I described a little while ago. Office first hybrid work, where you go into the office first, that's first, and then remote. A key pillar of hybrid work is the shift from focusing on location and hours to work to the outcomes that are delivered. So what is happening? So some people have very strict policies on these 5. Some make sometime mandatory, some it's a 50-50 split. And some, you only work at home with maybe a few days on site. So there's different ways. So because of Industry 5.0, because of Web3, because of the pandemic, because of just the evolution of technology, we have multiple ways of working, which were not as seen. All right, so now I'm going to move into talent. That is you. And so what is this future of work about? Basically, it's about technology. It's about dismantling systems of barriers, which is why Web3 is about decentralization. It's about giving people the power to do what they want to do without worrying about systems or having someone control that. Scaling innovative training and credentialing models. That's why we have this boot camp. This boot camp is one way that people are educating. Web3 is about education, and that's what I'm, talking about: talent, education, culture. I'm talking about all of that in what I do, but that's one of the reasons we have things like this. And investing in automation, resilient strategies, the technology. And I always talk about upskilling, reskilling, and retooling. And so this is what I consider the difference is. Upskilling is when you learn a new skill, right? Something completely, you learn a new skill to expand what you know. So if you're already using a database, what does a database look like in 2026? What is that? What is the next level? How has it improved? I was talking about Telegram right now. All systems, all platforms do updates. And so sometimes you have to learn a new skill or deepen your expertise on something so that way you have a deeper knowledge and you're ready to do the task that you're needed to do on what you're doing. So the goal of upskilling is to gain competencies needed to take on a more advanced role within the organization. So sometimes it's upskilling. It's just adding to what you already know about that. Now you're just, kind of, they say, we always say 2.0, 3.0. That's basically how you're doing your skills. You're just getting the next one. Whereas reskilling, you're totally switching lanes. You're learning something totally new. You're changing roles in an organization. You may even be moving to a new company. What does that look like? Some of you, as a result of this Web3 boot camp, will decide you want to do something different, closer related to Web3, somewhere where you have opportunities in Web3. And if that is the case, you may find yourself in this idea, yeah, you're going to reskill and learn Web3, but you may also have to reskill and learn some other things based on the job or the organization that you're wanting to apply for or try. And then the last thing that you could possibly do, you can do a combination of all of these, or you can do them separate, but retooling is actually looking at the systems. In this particular boot camp, y'all are probably going to be talking about retooling more than the other two. The other two are my jam. That's what I enjoy talking about, upskilling and reskilling. But I realized that in a Web3 bootcamp, it's probably going to be technology heavy. And so you're going to be talking about retooling and how do we replace machines, equipment, software, and systems with what is coming with the Web3 space. What's happening now? How do you organize something into something new or a different way to improve it based on what's happening in Web3? And so the goal of retooling is to learn new tools. And that's basically what many of you will be learning a part of this boot camp, since that's the purpose, is to get people educated on what does it look like in 2026, a part of an Industry 5 and Web3. So let's talk about what blockchain technology and artificial intelligence, what they are doing with automation. And like I said, I'm not talking about the technology piece today, but I am going to talk about what this looks like now that we have these two things. And I already told you on Friday that I love the intersection of blockchain technology and artificial intelligence. Those two things, and Web3 and artificial intelligence, I love those intersections. So I'm going to talk about what that looks like as it relates to workplace automations. So, of course, digital transformation gave you that background, what that is, and it's this shift, and it's including more technology, more current technology into what you do to improve productivity and performance. Workplace automation also reduce human involvement in companies' tasks. So there are more things that are automated, whether it's the email, whether it's how you accept funds or distribute funds. It's automation. Can help increase innovation and improve your team's output quality. So automation is not replacing people. It is reshaping roles and redefining value. Workplace automation is the use of technology, AI, digital systems to perform repetitive, predictable, or data-driven tasks traditionally done by humans. So workplace automation, you can't have workplace automation without having Web3. You need the technology. You need those digital systems that are being created and developed in this Web3 space in order to do it. And so workplace automation also helps companies automate repetitive business processes. They refers to using systems to perform predictable, repetitive tasks without direct human input. What does that mean, Dr. Tammy? What that means is that there's some things that if you're going to send a welcome email, I'm going to take something very simple that doesn't really require Web3, but I know we all understand it. Say you want to send, somebody signs up for something and you want to send an email. You want that automated, right? And those things can be repetitive. Sometimes that's predictable, right? And some repetitive tasks are things that you have to do over and over. I think, like I said, in the early 1900s when Ford came about and had the assembly line, is that same thing. These things are repetitive, and something, a robot, machine learning, something can do it with accuracy and help create an opportunity for the humans to do some of the things that require human connection, right? Like answering phones or working with customers and solving a problem. Workplace automation enables companies to simplify tasks and provide a better experience for their employees. So some of the things that I would waste time on now can be better used and served doing other things. And I'll have a better experience from not doing the same thing all day. You know, I think about stapling papers. I'm an educator, so I think about stapling papers. And when I have a packet and I had to manually staple those, it was a lot. Once the copier started doing it, once the machine started doing it, it made it so much easier, so much better. And that's what we're talking about. It's just now we're talking about it in the Web3 space. So now we're also moving from task execution to problem solving and decision making. Now we're putting that on the humans, right? So digital tools are becoming collaborative partners in our daily work. That's what Web3 is. Workplace automation often refers to companies using technology to perform workflows such as organizing emails, generating sales leads, reducing paperwork, managing data. One of the things that I'm sure y'all will talk about at some point is security and cybersecurity and data and some of the things, the privacy, some of the things that come with Web3 that are the security aspects that are important here. Workplace automation can help with some of that. So, of course, I mentioned robots, machinery, algorithms, software, all of that applies to automation. So, and of course, what does this mean for you as the professional? Upskilling and reskilling are essential. I had to say that because I'm biased. Human skills increase in value, creativity, communication, leadership, ethics, all of that is now conversations because of blockchain technology, because of NFTs, because of digital currency, because of AI. All of these conversations are important, especially ethics and responsibility. Those who learn to work with automation increase your productivity and opportunity. So your goal as a part of this boot camp, I would say, is to, as you learn about Web3, how do you work with it? How do you increase your productivity and your opportunity with it? How can you apply it? So I'm all big on applying. So some of the things and some of the reasons this is so important is because it increases your productivity. It reduces human error because there's typically more errors when you have a human, when you need some double checks and checks and checks. It saves money and time, it increases work safety, and it improves consistency. So workplace automation reduces the number of manual tasks employees perform daily and gives us more time to focus on those that we add value. Human error. Workplace automation enables companies to reduce the number of human errors that occur when employees perform manual tasks, such as invoicing or data entry. So now we can do some other things, right? Time and money, because now you can have, which may seem like a bad thing, but more jobs are being created, but it also saves time and money because now you can have a machine do the task and have the human do some of the things, and then your return on investment increases because now you're getting things done better, faster, with higher accuracy, and without dropping any of the task or the things necessary to be successful. So as a result of all that I've said, 23% of today's jobs will change. 44% of workers' core skills are expected to change in the next 5 years. Now, this was in 2023, so that is basically 2028 that is referring to. So up until 2028, you're going to see that what skills are needed. Now you're seeing descriptions where people are asking for you to know different technologies, digital currency, or artificial intelligence, or blockchain technology, or, they're putting some of that language into their job descriptions. So welcome to the boot camp, because you can, you'll be adding those skills to your resume or your LinkedIn or whatever. And I do encourage you to update that regularly, both of those. So I have to end this by talking about Web3 and artificial intelligence, because I think this is the next evolution of our digital economy. And I know that is your focus in this bootcamp, is digital economy. And I kind of took it and put my own spin on it, because I think you positioning yourself and knowing how you fit into this also is a part of that evolution, right? And so think about how those two working together as you're in this boot camp can change, because both are here to stay and neither is going anywhere. And AI powers intelligence and efficiency. So let me just back up a minute. So from consuming technology to participating and shaping it, Web3 and artificial intelligence are there. So let's talk about Web3. What do we know about Web3? It's ownership, it's decentralization, it's blockchain-based systems and digital assets, it's a creator and community-driven economies, it's greater control over data and identity. We talked about that on Friday. What do we know about artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence enables intelligent automation, which we talked about a little bit today, and decision support, content creation and analysis at scale, personalized experiences and learning, and new business and innovation models. So artificial intelligence enable all that. If you take both the things that we know about Web3 and artificial intelligence, what we know is that artificial intelligence powers intelligence and efficiency. Web3 reshapes ownership and opportunity. So what happens? Together, they redefine how value is created and exchanged. If you don't get anything from what I said today, this slide is the conclusion, the ultimate. This is how all of these play together. And when you think about AI, when you think about Web3, when you think about Industry 5.0, when you think about what's happening in the world, this is what it comes down to. All of these things, if you have intelligence and efficiency, ownership and opportunity, oh my goodness, what does that happen? What happens as a result? It really positions us, and it allows us to position ourselves in a way that we can really capitalize on what's happening as things evolve. So, yeah. So you can define value how you want, but it's definitely, it will increase. So that's why I like them together. That's why I talk about them together. That's why I can't talk about one without talking about the other. And so there you have it. That's where this topic came from, because I wanted us to understand that with the progression of the industries and what's happening, that's led us here to where we are in Web3, and what ChatGPT did in 2022, even though artificial intelligence has been around or been named or clearly defined since 1956. At a university here in the United States, at Stanford University, a professor, that's where the term came from. It's been around for a while, but now with all these things happening, this convergence, things are accelerating. Things are really happening right now because of all of these things. So what are my final thoughts for today? And I'll take some questions if there are any. One, AI should augment human intelligence, not replace it. So I didn't talk about AI today, but I did want to say that, like, this should be helping you, and it should be helping you in your workplace. Two, a diverse group of programmers is necessary to help eliminate some biases. So when we're talking about Web3, we do need people from all backgrounds, all cultures. We need people. So that helps eliminate bias. In all these Web3 tools that you're going to hear about, that you're going to learn, this is important. And I guess I should have said coders as well. I know technology people think of those as two different things. So programmers and coders, you know, however you think about it, we need a diverse group. Automation removes friction. It creates space for higher level thinking, innovation, and purpose-driven work. Automation comes when you add Web3 and artificial intelligence. Automation happens great when you think about what Industry 5.0 has ushered in for us to use it a part of Web3. The future belongs to those who move from technology users to technology integrators to technology leaders, which goes back into my topic on Friday, on us being leaders of innovation and really thinking about how do we position ourselves and how do we prepare for what it looks like. How do we prepare? Let me just be clear on how you're going to make your money. I know people get into Web3 for the get rich quick, and it's not that anymore, and it's not that. But however, when you know how to position yourself, when you know what's happening in the workplace, then you can better decide what will work better for you and your family and to survive, which at the bottom line, just going to be clear and transparent, is your money. So I am done for today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for indulging me to talk about something that I am so passionate about, and that is talent development, that is purpose, that is having a vision for what it is you're doing and doing things with intention, to not just be in a boot camp to learn things to get rich quick, but how do you position yourself for long-term success and gain. And so thank you. You can definitely put it below, or you can unmic. I will stop sharing and turn it back over to Kenny.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Tammy. That was an amazing one. I really enjoyed and got a lot of things from what you've been able to put through today. I don't know if we have questions or we have also things we would like to share. We have Olamisi, sorry, Mark Oluchi, Good Daddy. We have the seed. So please, if we have anything to say, we could be able to either type or also unmute our mic. Is a conversation, is a class where we have to ask questions. We can put our contribution. So let's go ahead. I don't know why. I don't know if they are shy to ask questions or maybe ask for something. At the beginning, Dr. Tammy showed who she is and what she does and some of the other things, how you can connect to her. Feel free to connect with her. She's someone who is an educator, a catalyst, an instructor. She's more like someone who also guide you in your journey as you're starting your tech journey, you're starting your Web3 journey. So whatever field you want to be able to commence that, she will give you certain guidelines to start as well. So I think we don't have questions for today. We want to really appreciate Dr. Tammy joining us from the United States. We as an organization, as a community, we say thank you very much, Dr. Tammy, for giving us your time. You spoke last week, and today again you are here. So also, I think we got the last PDF you sent during your classes. So we also like to get these as well. So if you have an assignment you want us to maybe participate, something like it might not be to grade us, but to also stretch us, help us make more research, and also maybe help us to get more questions about what we've learned. You can maybe drop it with me. I will also share with the class for them to go. But we would like each and every one of us, if we have a assignment, to be able to go through. One of the essence of assignment is not just for you to pass. No, that's even a zero part of it, but it's for you to make research, understand things, go beyond what you know at that point to what you don't know, and then be inquisitive to ask more questions, because as you make more research, you'll be like, okay, I found this, why that? So it also helps. So thank you very much, Dr. Tammy, So from us here, or from me here in Nigeria, I would say thank you very much. Have a blissful day ahead. I know it's your afternoon. Have a blissful time ahead. Enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate you inviting me. Y'all have a great boot camp, and I look forward to hearing more about the successes that happen. And I will send a few things over to you as far as assignments as well,
Okay,
or
thank
things
you
that
very
people
much.
can do to
Yeah.
kind of to encourage their research and positioning. So I'll send a few things over.
Okay, thank you very much. Stay cool. Have a blessed week, guys. Thank you. Bye.